What is going on, everybody? Michael here. I hope you all are having a wonderful day because it's not here down in Florida. It's nice and rainy and wet and dreary. So I hope it's at least a little bit sunny where you're at and you're having a pretty good day today. But purpose of this video is we are about 2.5 weeks since the release of Scarlet and Violet base set, and we are about a month and a half away from the release of Paldea Evolved. And that's what the video is going to be about. We're going to talk a little bit about Paldea Evolved. And so, in Japan, in case you didn't know, they come out with sets a little bit ahead of us in the US, where I think it's called Clayburst, Snow something. It's some combination. But they have two sets that combine to roughly equal what we're getting in Paldea Evolved. That's kind of how it goes. So, because they open their packs their sets there earlier than we do, we can get a good idea of what we're going to be getting in our sets. And there's a website called Justin Basil. I highly recommend you go check it out. It has a huge list of the cards that are expected to be in our set. More importantly, the illustration rares, or the illustrator rares. So we can get a good idea of that. And I wanted to give you my first impressions, really, of what I think of the set, because it's my first time actually looking at it. And boy, am I not impressed. Like, not... It's really kind of disappointing, to be honest with you, about the direction Pokemon's going with this. Now, we'll talk a little bit about each kind of card type, and the EXs. They're EXs. They're not going to change. They're going to look the same pretty much through the entire series, this era of cards, right? Now, one part that I hate is the Terra cards. They freaking look exactly the same as they did in the previous set. And that is so not the point of tarot cards. If you played the game, the whole terrestrializing was that you could have one type of Pokemon become another type. And to give you an example, they have a Slowking, which is typically either water or Psychic. And they made that card Psychic. You could have made it fire, electric, dragon, shit, I don't care. But don't make it the same type it already is. That's the whole point of the terrestrializing of the tarot cards, is that it's different typing, and they just kept it the same. And you know, it's set to of the era, so you can't really like say it's what they're gonna do from now on. But boy, I hope they gotta change something. They cannot keep doing that and just keeping them the same type. The only difference between the tarot cards and the regular EX cards, or I think a little bit of texture on the tarot cards. I guess the hollow pattern is a little bit different too because of the texture. And then they have crowns. That's it. That's the difference. They have a nice little crown on their head. The diamond crown. It's like, make them different. Make them different. And the previous sets we had V and we had V Max. And the V Max, granted they looked kind of similar, but they were definitely different. You could tell when you got a V Max versus a V. And they were different. Whether or not you liked it or not, they were different. Obviously. So I'm hoping in the future we can get something different with the tarot cards. Something. We'll have to see. But it's disappointing to see that they didn't do anything different with that. And really, besides that, that's such a huge gripe for me, because it was the whole purpose of the Scarlet and Violet. But the illustrator cards are just... they're not there. They're not... I mean, they're there. They're just not good. And I'm going to be honest. Art is purely subjective. I may not like it, but everyone else may like it, and my opinion doesn't matter at that point, right? But when you go and look at them, at least for me, I kind of looked at them one by one, and then I kind of had them kind of spread out on one sheet. And when you look at them, they all look like the same. Like, obviously the art's a little different Pokemon, different color palette, but like, if you really look at it, just how each scene is arranged, they all look like the same. It's like kind of Pokemon in the very center, and they kind of do a little things. And then there's two cards with Heracross and Sudowoodo, and they're just literally standing like this, like almost T-posing. And they look so boring. Like, I don't know what they're deciding to do with these illustrator rares, but the direction they're going is kind of like... I don't like it. I understand that you want to have cards that are art. I'm not even going to say nice looking art. You know, you had the Giratina V-Star that You either loved or you didn't like. Was it V Star or V? You know, the one, that one in what set was that? Lost Origin? Lost Origin. Either you liked it or you didn't, and that's okay. But almost like half the cards in this new set are like super stylized. And again, the way they're presented and the way they're framed, and maybe I'm being like nitpicky at this, because they have a whole bunch of Illustrator rares. So I mean, it's awesome that we have these cards, and maybe it's the fact that we have been getting these types of cards, where now my expectation of what we should receive is different. You know, that Aerodactyl Lost Origin to me is amazing. I love that card. The Giratina didn't care for, but you didn't have like a whole bunch of stylized cards. And these all cards in this new set just look hyper stylized. Now don't get me wrong, there's a few, and I think one of my main gripes is that, like, at least for me, when I first started seeing some of these alternate arts and illustrator rares, it kind of just, I got the impression that they were going to do like Pokemon just kind of doing stuff. Like in a natural habitat. Take the Flaffy from, I think, Silver Tempest. The Flaffy, what do you call it? The gallery from there, the trainer gallery from there. Kind of in the mirror, just kind of, you know, hanging out. You had like the Dunsparce one, I forget what set. The sets all blend together for me. But the Dunsparce, where they're all kind of just hidden in the room, that's fun. That's fun. Like, the art didn't take away from what we were looking at. And now I'm looking at some, and God, I can't even remember some of the new Pokemon names, but just go look at them. Like, I just highly encourage you to go look at them. And you're going to look and you're going to be like, who is this for? Like, imagine the Giratina, but like half the cards look like that. They're all this super stylized. And I understand, like, people like that, but it's Pokemon. It's still, you still gotta make cards that the majority of people are gonna like. I would think that that's what they would go for, because it's not something that they did heavily. They didn't sit here and just make a whole bunch of cards that were super stylized cards. And maybe that's the whole point of Illustrator. The Illustrator is to give the person doing the illustration the free roam to do as they please. And maybe that's what they're deciding to do with this set, or just with this kind of type of cards. But I can tell you, for at least in my opinion, this is all my opinion. I don't like it. It's not fun. Like, the cards don't look fun. They're almost too arty. I don't mind a few of those, but when most of the cards are this kind of like, whoa, the crazy art, and look at the colors and look at the abstract. It's like Starry. I can't think of the name. You know, the one with the stars, Starry Night. It's not Starry Night. Maybe it is Starry Night. But, you know, the Van Gogh painting. You know, come on, you know it. But when I have them look like that, it's like I don't want every single one to look like that. I want some cards just to be cute and colorful and fun, and to be, oh, there's that guy. And it's disappointing, and I'm hoping that this is just this set, that maybe they're trying something new. Maybe they're giving specific artists the chance to do some more cards, and this just so happens to be their style of art. But I'm just disappointed in that. And I will say this, the trainer illustrator rares, I don't actually mind too much. I think they look cool. Me personally, I don't care too much for the trainers. I'm not a waifu chaser. Obviously, I don't mind getting them, but they're not like home runs. I've never seen one that's like, oh wow, I gotta have that one. But those aren't too bad. And then one of the biggest things, and this is what I talked about in one of my previous videos, is that you have to have Pokemon that people want. And this set has a Pikachu, just one Pikachu. And I think then they have a Illustrator rare, and I think it was a EX card. It wasn't even an Illustrator card. And then they have an Illustrator Raichu, which, I mean, people just aren't as crazy about. And I guess what they think is that the starter trio is going to carry the set, because, you know, it has the same concept as the Gardevoir and the base set, where it kind of showed the Ralts growing to a Kirlia to a Gardevoir, and they have that same concept with each of the starters. And I'm guessing that's what they think is going to carry it, but I'm not sure if that's good enough to carry it. These new Pokemon, I don't know if any of them hit. I mean, I just don't think they hit well enough for that. You know what would have been awesome? Lechonk. They could have made a home run slam dunk Lechonk EX, and that probably would have been good. Because people, yeah, obviously it's not a Pikachu or Charizard, But if you made a really good Lechonk card, people like Lechonk. He's new. People like Lechonk. The cute little piggy dude. People like him. So, again, this is all my opinion. This might be one of the worst sets that I have seen in a long time. I'm even going back towards like Battle Styles Tour, where I don't want most of the cards in the set, which is really disappointing to say because they have so many illustrator rares. But if I don't even like them, and again, I'm gonna say this now. Go look at the list. Justin Basil, just type in Paldea Evolved set list and look for Justin Basil, the website, and go look and let me know. Let me know what you think. Like, again, art is very subjective, so I may not like it, but you may like it, and the next person may like it, the next person may like it, and people may not even care how abstract the art is. They may just like that they're not regular cards. But in my opinion, we can't just keep going based off those. These have to stay good. And maybe they're just trying to lower expectations a little bit. I'm honestly not sure. But go look at them. But I have to say this might be one of the worst sets I've seen since, Fusion Strikes I didn't care for. Chilling Reign had a lot of good alternate arts, but they're just hard to pull. So if we stick with we'll stick with Trainer Gallery Ford, since Brilliant Stars Ford, since it's the best comparison we can make. This is absolutely the worst set. This is worse than base set Scarlet and Violet, and maybe that's because Scarlet and Violet base set was so new, and there was a lot new to it, and that newness is gone now. We have a set now where we have the silver borders, where we have the 3 foils, we have the illustrator rares. And they just did the same thing. They did the same thing with way worse art. And I don't like it. It might be one of the few sets that I just really don't get any cards because there's no cards in there. Like art-wise, if it wasn't for the fact that you're going to get 12 hits, this would be one of the worst sets of Sword and Shield. Like, just art-wise, there is hardly anything that I would actually want. And none of it's going to have actual value either because the Pokemon aren't great. So again, let me know what you think. I know I rambled on. I'm getting a little heated because I expected just a little bit more from Pokemon about making these sets good. And the Terra thing just has me floored. I can't believe they just keep doing this.